I had heard people talking and passing about the Great Missoula Flood, but there wasn't just one flood. There were dozens of floods. In fact, there could have been more than 100 floods that happened. And glacial erratics is the term that describes how icebergs that broke off the glacier were rafted literally on the backs of the flooding water that came out of Glacial Lake Missoula. I can't even describe to you how excited I was unbearable to live with for a couple of weeks. I just couldn't stop talking about it. And then I got on the books, and then I found this beautiful website. Idaho Public Television had done a NOVA series about the mysterious megafloods. And when I watched that, that was it. I didn't care about anything else. I thought at that point, I knew at that point, that I had enough to work and make art for the rest of my life. I didn't need to bother with anything else. There was nothing else that interested me. Well, as a starving artist, I don't have a big fancy studio. Well, I use my kitchen sink to be a water basin. The way that I do this is to measure out monofilament, and usually I do that by the armfuls. So many arm lengths make so many feet. And I use that monofilament as a substrate that I put in the water. My left hand goes in the water with the monofilament. And I move that around under the water while I have this electric appliance called a hot glue gun in my right hand, and I'm drawing little squiggles onto the water. There's a fan blowing right behind me, partly for the fumes, but partly I want to create that simulated action of wind. And then I have water together. And so all of us are working to make these forms. Each one of them is as unique as a fingerprint or a snowflake. And then I pull it onto sheets of 18-inch wide butcher paper because I have to hand pack each one of these strands as I make it. But that's the way it starts at home. And for this exhibit, with the help of John and Steve, they are lifting the poles that I'm using to suspend this work on from the second floor. And they pull it up, tie it off, and then I space them 6 inches apart. It goes up. I tie some more off. It goes up again. Do some trimming here and there. So what I want to do with my work is create this contrast, specifically the work here, between this precise geometric straight line every 6 inches, the rows are 6 inches apart, with this highly gestural, spontaneous line. Paul Klee used to say to artists, take a line for a walk. Well, I like to take a line for a twirl and do it again and again and again.